We had Jack Wilshere making his return last night for Arsenal in the under-21 game, and we've got Pete, the Arsenal fan, on Skype. Pete, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Pleased for Jack?
Yeah, over the moon for him. I think he's been out since July last year, and for a player that was in his teens last year to sit about twiddling your thumbs for that long and have a couple of breakdowns along the way, it's not good for the mind. So glad to have him back playing football, and hopefully it'll be a successful 2 or 3 weeks of getting back into full fitness, and hopefully it'll help rescue our season.
Was there any part of you, Pete, that thought he might not make it back?
No, never. I speak to a few people that work at the club. I don't think that was ever the fear. When Vermaelen got injured the season before, everybody started talking about whether it was going to be career over. I think he's far too young to have issues like that. But the big worry for a lot of Arsenal fans is when you pick up a serious injury that young, do you then go on to have a career like the RB where you only manage 20 games a season, or do you break out of that injury pattern like perhaps Dalglish did, and you're good for 40 games a season, you've got all your injuries out of your system nice and early?
Yeah, I was interested what you said there, Pete. You said Jack Wilshere come back to rescue your season. You've only lost, narrowly against Chelsea. I'm a QPR fan, mate. Don't panic yet. You're in good shape. You're in the Champions League. Good things to go. I think it's more rescue England's campaign.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Maybe rescue the season was a bit strong, but I think that we've lost the RB. He's going to be out for 3 weeks, and then that 3 weeks will turn into 3 months as it usually does. And we don't really have. Like we've got Arteta and Cazorla. I think we need a bit more bite in the midfield, and I think we're going to have a difficult few weeks without DRB. So the sooner we can get Jack back, the better. But the most important thing is that once we've got him back for the whole season. And I just worry that in years gone by, when we've had injury issues, Arsene Wenger rushes players back, and then they have a breakdown, and then they're put back for another
Put
2
down?
or 3.
You've dogged him off.
Not that extreme.
I mean, I went down to Emirates a few times when he was playing in centre midfield with Fabregas, and the two of them, to telepathy, the two of them was unbelievable. The way they knew the run from one would hold superb. The only thing, I think him and Carzola are too similar. They're very similar, and he needed a bit of bite. I think your point about bite, I'm not quite sure whether they can work. If you had a Carzola and a Czech-Tiote or a Wilshere and a Czech-Tiote, I think that's a perfect formation. But the two of them, I think it could be a bit powder puff against some big guns you're going to play in the Champions League or the latter start of the Premier League.
I think I disagree there. I don't think Cazorla and Wilshere are similar. I think when Jack first started playing for Arsenal, I think everybody envisioned that he would be playing that Cesc Fabregas role, but he actually prefers to play a bit deeper. I think he's more similar in style to Arteta than he is Cazorla. I think what's going to be interesting is he hasn't played with Arteta before, and he hasn't played with Cazorla. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of dynamic they're going to have. I think the one thing that we're definitely going to lack is height, but I don't think that midfield lacks bite. Arteta loves to put a foot in. Cazorla, considering that he must be one of the smallest players in the Premiership at the moment, he puts himself about a little bit. He won't be bullied off the ball.
Pete, I've got a Chelsea fan here who says she's got a team of them smaller than him.
Yeah, we're doing all right with our small midfielders. Thanks very much. We done all right on Saturday against you.
Yeah, I think you did okay. You controlled midfield for a bit, but I think considering you spent £90 million in the summer, I don't think winning by 2 fluky goals was anything to get
fluky,
to.
I think your defence handed them to us.
Oh, they did. If our defence hadn't handed you the goals, we would have won 1-0, and I know that's a big if, but the fact is 2 sloppy goals. Otherwise, we created the best chances. We created the best chances of the game. I think we looked the most dangerous.
Although, going back to sort of small players, Oscar's our smallest player, and I think he got stuck in on Saturday. So I don't think just because you've got a small midfield, you should be worried. Jack Wilshere.
It's the height that's the issue, like the set play problems. I mean, when we get Mertesacker back in the back four, it won't be such an issue. But I think that the big problem that we had on Saturday was we lost our way when Diaby left the pitch. If he'd been on, would we have been as shaken in midfield? I'm not so sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with really talented, small technical players, but I think when you're playing teams like Stoke and Everton, you can tend to get bullied in the air a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. We had 14 corners against Stoke and didn't do anything with any of them. So I know what you're saying.
The thing is also with Pete, I'm more like Mertesacker and Vermaelen or Koscielny and Vermaelen.
I think Vermaelen and Koscielny are almost exactly the same player. They've got great recovery pace. They're fantastic on the floor, but they don't really connect when they play together. So I think it's going to have to be Vermaelen and Mertesacker, because Vermaelen has been given the captaincy this year. But if you were going on last year's form, it would be Koscielny. It would be he's the better of the two defenders, in my opinion. He's more positionally aware. But he had an absolute shocker against Chelsea at the weekend, and I think coming into the season a bit late because of the form of Mertesacker, kind of relegates him to third choice defender. That's if Arsene Wenger does decide to put Mertesacker back in the side, but I think he's going to have to after what happened at the weekend.
Yeah, important decisions, good players all over the park. I just hope that Giroud gets a few more goals, because his work rate and everything he does for the team deserves a lot more than he's had so far. Yeah,
totally agree with you. I think he gets a rough ride. He's replacing one of the hottest strikers on the planet. He's replacing somebody who scored over 35 goals last season, I think. He came on Saturday. He was making the runs. He was getting into the dangerous positions. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets up to speed with the game and he starts putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think people saying that he's the same as Shamak, I think it's a
Pete, just let me interrupt you. I mean, I was going to wait, and there's been a real big turning point, or possible turning point in Moscow. Gary Hooper was through one-on-one with the keeper, would probably have scored with his track record and won. Insaurralde has pulled him back. He's been given the red card, straight red. Spartak Moscow still lead the game 2-1. They are now down to 10 men. There is a free kick 2 or 3 yards outside the edge of the box, and we will keep you updated. And if Greg starts going radio rental,
absolutely,
then I'm sure you're going to know that Celtic have scored. Fire away then, Pete.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think that a lot of fans of other clubs and some Arsenal fans are saying that we've purchased another Shamak in Giroud, but I think that's an ignorant view. He might not be from Van Persie at the moment, but I think he's got a lot to offer the Premiership over the next few months.
Yeah, I think you'll be okay. I think you have a good season. I still think you're going to be up there challenging for the title despite the setback at the weekend. But as an initial point of Jack Wilshere, just what fantastic news it is as an England fan.
Yeah.
I mean, we're crying out for him. We needed him so badly in the Euros.
How long do you think it'll be before he actually does get a chance?
That's what I was going to say. How long would it take to take him to play in an Arsenal shirt, then we'll an England shirt? I mean, if we can get a fully fit Jack Wilshere around, the whole team built around him on an international level, I think is what we've been crying out for years. He's the nearest thing I've seen since Paul Gascoigne. In the way he plays.
A lot of pressure on him, isn't there? Because all the time he's been out, we've been absolutely hopeless. So now, because he's been out and he hasn't been involved, everyone said, "Oh, Jack Wilshere's the difference. He'll do it." And now he comes back. If he doesn't do it, it's like, oh.
No, but I'd rather have him in the side than Jordan Henderson
he's a
coming
proper
on in the last 5
I do
minutes of the
remember
European Championship.
I remember with Joe Cole, it was the similar thing. You know, everyone was calling for him when they put him in the team. He didn't really. Sorry, Celtic nearly put one in. Sorry.
Pete, how do you think you'll go at the weekend, mate?
I think we need to get on a winning roll. I think we've got 3 fairly winnable games coming up. That's Norwich, West Ham, and QPR. I'd hope we take 9.
Two winning games.
I hope we take 3 points in all of those, and we need to start getting on a bit of a run. We've taken 9 points from 6 so far. We've played some tough games, but we need to start racking up some points and getting a bit of a winning sequence under the belt, and hopefully this weekend we'll see a goal-scoring game from Giroud.
Yeah, and maybe even tomorrow night against Olympiacos. But we'll speak to you again soon, Pete, and hopefully it's on the back of more Arsenal victories and even maybe an appearance from Jack Wilshere.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries at all. That was Pete, our Arsenal fan.